What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. You can call me Wangle McJangle Danglebork. If you haven't seen me fully in it for a while, now you have. That was the very first battery that I flew at Bando Stadium yesterday. And yeah, about halfway through that battery, the whole world shut off, and I was inside that quad. And yeah. That hasn't happened in a while. It felt really good. I'm in the midst of like a 2-day-long allergy attack, so yeah. Excuse my sniffles and snortles and nose wiping and face making, but you know, this is my life. I'm allergic to everything, unfortunately. This is my full-time job. If you'd like me to keep doing this and keep creating content for you beautiful people, I need everybody's help. I need you to jump over I need you to click some shit down here if you don't mind, and then head on over to CiottiFPV.com and click some stuff there as well. For $3 whole a month, that's only 10 cents a day. You can join my Patreon. That helps me more than anything. As a patron, you're going to get audio versions of these streams so you can listen to them all. You're going to get access to the Discord. You're going to get email, Facebook, and Discord notifications when I stream because I do not have a schedule. And you're going to get access to a bunch of really good articles, how to PID tune simply and easily and not be afraid of it, filter tuning, motor heat, troubleshooting, oscillation troubleshooting, all kinds of really good stuff over there on the Patreon page. I also have a Fiverr where I can work one-on-one with you to build a better quad, tune your rig a little bit better, or fly a little bit better. Flying better is the thing I'm really excited about. Slat and I are actually the only guys that are doing flight instruction at the moment. So take advantage of it, right? Like, you went to school so that teachers that were really smart at stuff would break all that knowledge down into bite-sized chunks and deliver it to you nicely. Slat and I are doing that same thing, but with FPV. So if you want to fly better, we can help out. We've made a lot of mistakes. We've learned how to do things the right way, the wrong way to do things. And yeah, we can help you out with that so that you fly a little bit better quicker. Or you can just keep smashing your head into it, right? Because that's what we did. We just kept hitting it harder and harder and harder and just kept pouring more batteries under the fire. And eventually you can get there. But if you want to get there a little bit faster, that's what we can help out with. And I'll bet you that the amount of money you'll spend on instruction, you'll save on breaking more and more and more and more arms and motors and all kinds of stuff like that. So there you go. Etsy store with a bunch of really cool stickers. I've got an FPV exchange store over there, or page rather over there. Here comes the sneeze. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't sneeze. Okay, we're fine. Yeah. Go over to FPV Exchange, click the buttons, do the things. It's a great website. Oh, boy. Oh. And then there's a whole bunch of affiliate links. If you ever find yourself doing an order, it doesn't matter what you're buying. If you're ever doing an order on Amazon, FPV Crate, Get FPV, FPV Cycle, Oh My God's website, and a whole bunch of others, if you hit my affiliate link at some point before you finish the order, I'll get free money, between 1% and 6% of your entire order. It's free money. You can still use coupon codes. You can still get free shipping. It doesn't affect you in any way. So if you guys keep doing those things as you have been, and maybe you do them even more, I can just keep on going. Hopefully I'll have the Miata back in another 20-ish days, maybe. And yeah, close to being able to get some health care. Things are going well. So yeah, tell your friends, tell your family. Click my shit. CMYK says, happy Sunday, dude. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me in the chat, man, my face is just a hot mess. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you've got to do is type my name. You don't have to put the @ symbol in front of it, but you certainly can. What you do have to do is spell it correctly. CiottiFPV. If you do that, it'll light up in orange, and I'll know that you're talking to me. The people that have done that so far in the chat, I'm going to read their comments in a second, but in the chat, Remy Tim was first, FinFPV was second, AA was third. 3 moderators were the first 3 people. What are the rest of you guys doing? You can't even beat the mods in here? What do you do? Do whatever you want. Alexander Romanenko, Zach Lothamer, Freelojo, CMYK FPV, Jackalope, T-Bird, Alpha Sloth, June Loco, Tweet FPV in the house. Man, all the mods are up in here. What's up, friends? Finn FPV just watched the new Chris Rosser video. I did as well. It was really, really good. Antler FPV, Huff 19, License to Drive, Dan Richmond, Eric Allen, Gel Captain, Sonic Tonic, EBR FPV, June Loco, Robin Ducted FPV Trucker, June Loco again, Fairly Functional, Dan Richmond, and Rick Can FPV. I'm going to stop there. If you want a gangly guy to read your name, you got to get in early. Man, my voice is... I'm still struggling as well. I don't know what's going on. My God. I got, like, Rampage broke me, dude. CMYK says happy Sunday. Freelo just says morning, evening, and afternoon collective. T-Bird says what's up. TweetFPV says what's up. June Loco says yo yo. Eric Allen says long time. Well, it's been weird, but I'm back. I'm back every day again, I swear. Gel Captain says, what's up, you handsome bastard? He didn't say bastard, I said bastard. Eric Allen says, oh, we got that. FPV Trucker says, happy Sunday. Joni Droid says, good afternoon. Fairly Functional says, nice rip, thanks, brother. My favorite part of that battery was, so I've been trying to do this, here, I'll pull it up. I've been trying to do this move, I've talked about it a couple times here on the streams. I'm trying to do this move with, like, so a tree is like this, right? You know, a lot of trees are fatter on the bottom, skinnier on top. I'm trying to perfect this thing where I go under it, start the power loop, but just hammer the throttle enough and then pitch down and ride backwards up the top of this part of the tree, and then apex at the top, and then there's this part of the tree, and then come down this part of the tree, and don't move pitch. Don't move the quad the whole time. Just let it hang and come up and down. And I'm also trying to do that move here at the stadium, and I thought I finally had it here, but I ended up bumping into the flat surface, and I almost like it better this way. Hold on, let me try to find it. I couldn't believe it happened. When it happened in the goggle, I was just holding it and just thinking, like, I'm either gonna go over or I'm gonna smack into the vertical wall. And I smacked into the vertical wall, but I did it almost like I planned it. Here it is. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so... yeah, so the goal here was to try to clear that vertical jib jab. Ready? So I wanted to clear that guy, but somehow the rig just perfectly hit it. And it must have hit it flat. I don't know. I don't know how this worked. I can't believe the rig was looking down enough to hit it flat. Although now that I look at it, I can kind of see it. I was looking down quite a bit. There was no horizon line. The horizon line was buried off the top of the screen. So yeah, that, this has me thinking. Because that's a different version of that move that I never thought of that I can do against flat surfaces, as long as I just look down a little bit extra. Because by looking down a little bit extra, the rig is going to be flat, and when it hits the wall, it's just going to boop, like it did there. So kind of interesting. Happy little accident, as Bob Ross would say. Huge shout out to Chomper FPV. He crashed here last night. We had a blast hanging out. And he's out flying with the Atlanta crew right now. As soon as this stream is over, I'm going to join those guys, depending on where they're at. They were talking about maybe going to Bando Stadium again. And, like, I went there on Monday this week, and then I went there yesterday. So, I don't know. If they're at Bando Stadium at 5 o'clock when this stream ends, I might just hit, like, a couple local spots and just stay around here. Because Bando Stadium is, like, 45 minutes away, and I try not to hit spots more than like once a week, in fear of burning them out. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see. What else do we have here? Journey Droid saying good afternoon. Fairly Functional says nice rip. Here comes a sneeze. Why? Why you do this to me? Allergies. Why am I allergic to everything? I gotta stop rubbing my eyes. I'm a puffy-eyed bastard. Oh my god. Gel Captain says, where are you? I'm here in Atlanta, Gel. Spudnik says, do you have any tips on budgeting? My financial situation is a nightmare. Oh man, if I gave you tips on budgeting, Spudnik, your financial situation would go from a nightmare to a dumpster fire within a nightmare. You don't want to take budgeting advice from me. My version of budgeting is spend no money ever, and just try to make as much money as possible. And it barely works, but, you know. Grumpy FPV says, oi oi. Paul McDonald says, I didn't realize I wasn't on live. What's that mean? I wasn't on live. Oh, you had it rewound a little bit. Jack Lanois says, what's up? Ispander says, oh shit, hi. Robin Duckett says, I'm building. Very cool. FPV et al. Says, greetings from Austria. Just heard about you from Joshua Bardwell. Let's see what your channel is all about. Sounds good, FPV et al. Make yourself at home. Lots of I have the playlists here on my channel organized pretty well, so bop around the playlists, and yeah, hope you enjoy the content, man. Alexander Romanenko says getting some drop frames when you're sharing video. So that's on YouTube side. I don't have any drop frames in OBS. YouTube is just dumb. Quessy Williams says, are you a pincher? Absolutely. And then there are times where I will, so I'm not going to get my transmitter out, but if I want to really accurately move the throttle straight up quickly, I will sometimes take my index finger off the top of the, all right, so here's the stick. I'll take my index finger off the top of the stick, move it to the bottom of the stick, and flick like that. That way the stick will go as quickly as possible from whatever to full, and it also removes any chance of pushing yaw in. When you're pinching and you move the stick up really quickly, your thumb is a little short, and you'll have a tendency to maybe push a little bit of yaw in on the way up. Whereas if you just wanna flick it straight up, yeah, if you bring your index finger on the bottom. So that's kind of the only time that I don't pinch. But yeah, other than that, 100%. I think pinching is really important to be able to control your control the sticks a little bit more and just slow your sticks down a little bit. Jack Lanois says, any idea how motor timing impacts dynamic idle? I tuned my quad with dynamic idle, but had different results after changing motor timing. Worse with auto timing, better with 23 degrees. Jack, I'm surprised that you can determine any difference with dynamic idle, because I've never talked to anybody that has noticed any improvement or negative impacts from dynamic idle. And the big black box guys, they don't even use dynamic idle, which to me kind of means that it doesn't really do anything. I use it and leave it on because theoretically it's a good thing, and I've never noticed any negative impacts of it. So I just kind of leave it on for the sake of leaving it on. But yeah, I'm shocked that you could notice any difference with it. That's you must be super sensitive. That's a big deal, man. Yeah, I can't really speak to it because I can't feel any difference from it. I never have been able to. So unfortunately, I can't really help you out there. But yeah, I would say try to like A/B/A test it, and just trust whatever it is that you're feeling. I don't think you're going to find, like I said, I've never talked to anybody that can feel it, so I don't know if you're going to find anybody that can actually help you out with it, because nobody seems to be able to notice anything with it on versus off. Yeah, color me impressed. Very cool, man. Michael Blade says, we're live. Hey, CiottiFPV, what's up, Michael? Halfboard says, yo. Brock Lee says, what did you break this time? I mean, everything. I broke everything at Rampage. Except for the 5-inch rigs. I didn't break any 5-inch rigs at Rampage. Just all the micro rigs. They did not handle the Micro Mayhem metal and polished concrete crashes well, which is to be expected. One of the problems that we still have with micros is durability. But the motor manufacturers are finally starting to move up to 3mm motor shaft, so that's good. We need more of them to do that. Jack Jorgensen says, do you know if it's possible to use the scroll wheel in the Tango 2 as a potentiometer switch and assign functions to it? I mean, I would hope so. I don't know anything about the Tango 2. I have big-ass hands, so I have to use a QX7. It's the only transmitter that my hands kind of work on. I would certainly hope that you could do that, because without the ability to do that, what the hell's the point of the scroll wheel? So... yeah, it's a really good question. Joshua, I think, has some experience with the Tango 2, so maybe ask him. Or to be honest, just go into the TBS Lounge and just post it in their Facebook group. There's probably somebody there that knows the answer to that. Paul McDonald says, have you had to deal with FRSK firmware stuff much? I think I might be dealing with an issue, new ACCST receiver I got. I have another that works fine, but firmware is all I can figure. Paul, that was the main reason that I bailed on R9, is I couldn't stand the firmware pains in the ass. So yeah, I just started to deal with that problem a year and a half ago when I tried R9 out, and then I just said, fuck this, I can't do this, I'm done. So yeah, unfortunately I can't really help, but I think you're probably barking up the right tree. It sounds like you're looking at the right thing. If you've got one that works and another one that doesn't, my guess would be firmware as well. So yeah, I don't know. Pertnigo says, have you put taper grease on your glides yet? I haven't. To put, I did just add the grease to my Amazon shopping cart, which I do need to check out tonight or tomorrow, because I want to get that hard drive enclosure finally, so I can get off this 13-year-old Mac and get onto the 6-year-old laptop. So yeah, I will have the grease soon enough, and I will test it out. I mean, my glides are totally fine as they are, so like, I don't foresee it being some magical thing for me. The glide frame deals with vibrations plenty, really, really well, and it's really, really lightweight, and my tune is totally fine. Like, so yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting miracles, but at the same time, there's kind of no reason not to do it. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit messy, but whatever, that's fine. I mean, I within 3 seconds of flying a rig that I've toothbrushed off to clean and have it look pretty, I will inevitably get stuck in a tree and have to turtle mode out of it and throw chopped bits of leaf everywhere. So my rigs are always filthy and disgusting all the time anyway. So what the hell? Greg Womack says, thinking of getting either Micro Crossfire or Ghost, which do you suggest? I suggest Crossfire. I think that having the absolute most bulletproof control link is the best thing possible in terms of safety and getting your rigs back in really sketchy situations. Crossfire is time tested. It doesn't fail safe. I mean, every time I go on Facebook, I hear about tracer fail safes. I don't really hear about Ghost fail safes as much, probably because Ghost isn't as popular, but I know that Ghost is still fail safing here and there. I'm fine with a little bit of extra control latency for a link that's just going to be stronger forever. 900 megahertz is always going to outperform 2.4. It's a physical property of longer wavelengths. So yeah, but there's a lot of other reasons, right? Crossfire's been out for a long time. It's established. It's not on this hype train of like every week something new comes out and then you have to change and then something on your rig changes and you have a different amount of latency and all this nonsense. So yeah, for me, it's Crossfire until I don't know how long, but yeah, Crossfire is amazing for me. Paul McDonald with a $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, ugh, would rather it be Windows, but Mac fun, I guess. I'll send you a Windows PC, just let me know. Also, hydrate and keep that voice healthy. Thanks, bro. Keep the PC, Paul. I don't... I've had to use PCs in my professional career for the last 20 years as a project manager, and I just hate them and want to burn them in a fucking fire. I just can't do it. I'm just not a part of the master race. I've used Macs from when I was like single-digit years old. The GUI, everything about them just makes sense to my brain. Every time I use a Windows machine, nothing makes sense to my brain, and it's just so frustrating. It's just the most frustrating experience in the world for me using a PC. Yes, if I poured enough time into it, I'm sure it would be less frustrating, but I don't have that time. I'm going to spend my time, with you guys here on the stream, doing FPV stuff and doing self-help, basically, kind of stuff. Yoga, meditation, going out, being with people. I have no interest in another hobby, right? That's what me getting a PC would be. It would be another hobby. and I don't have the time or the brain space for it. I super appreciate the offer though, but yeah, it's just not for me. I'm a Mac dude, top to bottom, till death. Double A says, help a brother out. Your money is worth it. Patreon.com/CiottiFPV. Thank you, Double A. Very cool of you. Mr. Z says, just use ElRS, problems go away. From what I keep reading, just using ElRS, all the problems begin. All I keep reading is people having such a hard time getting ElRS set up and updated and all this shit. Again, I don't have the time or the interests or the headspace for that. Crossfire works beautiful. It's 900 megahertz. ElRS is not 900 megahertz. Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not a radio engineer. I don't know how all that stuff works. But I know the people that are, and I just listen to what they say. So if you guys know more than them, I mean, that's awesome. But I have Crossfire. I'm already invested in it. I'm already set up with it. To switch over to anything else would be like a big ass undertaking, which again, I don't have the money or time or interest in. I know that I probably should, so that I could be more on the hype train and probably get more views, but I'm not gonna. Sorry. If at some point everybody says ElRS is now easy to set up and it's 1,000 times better than Crossfire and it's worth the extra money and effort and time, then I'll probably do it. But that's definitely not what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing about ElRS so far is that it's a kind of a nightmare, and nightmare is not something that I'm willing to introduce into FPV. I need to keep my stuff like in a state that it's working well on reliable, proven, durable gear, and that's Crossfire. Crossfire is the only radio link right now that I don't constantly hear people complaining about, and that right there to me is like top of the priority list. I know it's not necessarily great as a content creator, but you know, hey, this is just the way that I choose to set my gear up, really. Quessy Williams says, have you ever heard of the Z-Boy Prometheus 5-inch titanium frame? I have, Quessy. Titanium is the wrong material for a frame. So I looked at it and I said, yeah, not super into that. It's certainly an interesting frame, and if you're looking to build like a showpiece quad, it would be cool for that, but I don't do that. I build rigs to get the shit smashed out of them, and titanium is not a good material for that. Paul McDonald says, fair, LOL. Journey Droid says, you could use the momentary buttons as a pot, either click, or press and hold. I think he's talking to Jack about the Tango 2, perhaps. What else we got going on here? YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up to try to find my place in the chat. Haven't missed that, YouTube. Brandon Bentley says, I can hold your hand if you need help with the ElRS. I appreciate that, Brandon, but it's just not... yeah, it's just not... I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. Maybe someday, but not for a while. The thought of having to rip all my gear apart is just an absolute nightmare. So yeah, it's I'm backed up enough with builds and with other shit where I can't really do that either. I owe you guys a bunch of the giveaway builds that haven't shipped. I owe you guys the QAVS build for the 200 patron giveaway. I'm super backed up, and yeah, with Crossfire working really well, it's kind of just like, all right, I gotta hold the line here. And just like that, I'm caught up on chat. So, let's dig in. This rig is actually fine. Come to think of it. What do you guys want to fix? A 3-inch rig or a toothpick? Type in the chat 3-inch or not toothpick, tiny whoop. Type either tiny whoop or 3-inch into the chat. I have to go blow my nose again. Here comes the second battery from that spot. I'll be right back. thought it took back off. Yeah, that one hurt. That blew an entire blade off of the propeller. But, you know, survived. New propeller. All's right with the world. Okay, everybody wants... every single person typed 3-inch. Did anybody type Tiny Whoop? Okay, 2 people did. 3 people did. Alright. CMYK finally has all the parts to start building his rip squeaks. Very cool. That's what we're about to work on. Jason Crabtree says, do you use one model for QX7 or fly all your different quads on individual models? I do have individual models mainly so that... Originally I did this so that I could use the timer built in. I do use my momentary switch to reset the timer in the transmitter just so that I have like a physical, actual timer to start yelling at me when I'm towards the end of the battery. So yeah, I do have individual models, but I have been very lax with that timer and with listening to the damn warnings. So realistically, I don't really use the timer anymore. I should, but I don't. So the rip squeak took the rip squeak on the 1504 and a halves took a hell of a slam at Micro Mayhem into the concrete, and it locked up one of the motors. So we will tear that motor apart. We'll see how bad the shaft bent, and we will swap it out. I've got a replacement motor right here that we will solder on there, and we'll be back in business. And then on the other rip squeak, all I need to do is plug it into Betaflight and hit the goddamn yaws reversed switch, which I forgot to hit, unbelievably. So yeah, we'll have both rip squeaks up. And that's good, because when I go out flying here after the stream, I want to discharge a bunch of the 4S. But I charged up every single micro battery that I own for Rampage. And so yeah, I need to discharge those 4S batteries, because I only got to fly a couple of them before I destroyed all the rigs that use them. So yeah, there's that. There's that. So, and you know what we'll also do is we'll spin the rest. So this is the one that's locked up. Oh wow, it's really locked up there, Jesus. So yeah, this is, what's this, motor 3? Yeah, motor 3 is going to need to get replaced. But I'm actually interested to do a little bit of a post-mortem here. I haven't really abused these 1504 and a halves all that bad. To see how they are durability-wise. I have crashed them a bunch, and they didn't jump out at me as being not durable, which is good. But, yeah, micromotor durability is a real dark area. There just aren't many freestyle pilots flying 3-inch rigs hard and crashing them hard to give us any actual feedback. This propeller looks fine. This one is shot to shit. So yeah, sometimes I kind of feel like I'm the only one, which is fine. Having one of us is better than having none of us. Yo, it is hot as shit in here. I gotta put the air conditioning on. Hang on one more second. What's this one? Be right back again. Oh, look at me, I'm blind. Come on, past me, fly. Fly your quad past me. There we go. Oh, come on, don't be all angry. Those guys are super cool. They came down afterwards. They were like, holy shit, what the hell are these things? That was super fun. Oh, thanks, Guillermo. Guillermo says, best micropilot ever. It's you, CiottiFPV, then Nick Burns. I mean, as a strict micropilot, Nick Burns is better. But I fly a lot of 5-inch, so I got him there. Dirty Droid says, planning to smash some 3-inches this year. You don't have to be the only one. What should I smash first? Oh, God. Take your pick, Dirty Droid. It's all good. Just make sure when you smash stuff, you kind of have my approach of, you know, post-mortem, like really look at it and see what handled, you know, the demolition well and what didn't, right? And then try to do it more than once, right? Like one big hit teaches you a little bit, but then like it happening over and over again, that's really the juice there. That's what we really need. So try to, you know, break something and then replace it with the same thing, and then break it again, right? That's where we really learn, is once we've broken it. Once we've broken the same thing the second and the third and the fourth time, that's really what I'm always looking for. That's where the the actual tale is told. I'm gonna really try to focus on 3-inch here this summer. 5-inch is great and it flies well and it's cinematic and all these things, but 3-inch is really an untapped kind of opportunity. And I want to fly sketchier spots. Like, I want to fly spots that nobody's been able to fly before because 5-inch rigs are too goddamn loud. And the way to do that is with 3-inch rigs. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Like, we've got run cam hybrids that produce pretty staggering onboard 4K. It's not as good as a GoPro, but it's still goddamn good. And you know what it is? It's good enough to watch, right? Like DVR, like analog DVR for sure, and to some extent DJI DVR is not quite good enough to do like a cinematic edit that like everybody's gonna want to watch. But in my opinion, the RunCam Hybrid is. In my opinion, the RunCam Hybrid is like this is gonna sound bad, but the worst quality that is really like fully watchable. Hopefully that makes sense. That's a weird way to word it, but I think you guys catch my drift with that. And yeah, I've got 3 RunCam hybrids that were sent to me for review way long ago by Banggood, and I've already done the review. That was the 3-inch. I'm sorry, that was the 4-inch motion drifting edit that I did last year. That was like the official review for the RunCam hybrids, and it was where I gave one of them away. So yeah, now I can just smash the hell out of them. Okay, so first we're gonna pull this motor off, and then once the new motor is on, we will we'll spin all the other motors up in Betaflight to see how healthy these 3 here are compared to a brand new motor. I'm gonna eat a cough drop and hope that you guys can't hear it bouncing around in my mouth. Journey Droid says, you mentioned 2mm shafts earlier. Which motor is putting parts list together now? Most micromotors now have 2mm shafts. What I really want are 3mm shafts, and the only motor that has that right now is the X-Nova 1804. That motor is only really ideal for a for like a 250 plus gram 3-inch rig, or maybe even like a lightweight 4-inch rig. Broccoli is in the house. He says, how's the 250 going? I have my eye on getting one. That's another thing that I need to get going on. Although no, actually, I have an excuse. I have an excuse for the 250. I'm waiting for Tommy to create the new camera plates up front here that will work with, speaking of, the RunCam Hybrid. So yeah, he's gonna send me, and he's making more of these. So if you want to build an analog 250 with a RunCam hybrid on board, because this is a hell of a RunCam hybrid platform, message me and let me know so that I can tell Tommy that there's more of a market for them. Because right now he's redesigning the camera cage just for me, and he has a little mini CNC cutter. But if a bunch of you guys want it, and I can tell him, hey, I've got 5 guys. At the moment I've got 1 guy interested, and he wants 2 of the camera cages, which is good. You should always have extra camera cages because they get the shit banged out of them when you nose the rigs in. If you want 3 or 4 or 5, let me know. But yeah, message me if you want to run a RunCam hybrid in your 250. I think that's going to be a lethal combo. I also think that there's going to be prop in view for the record, which for me is like, what I might try to do is run 3.5-inch props to see if I can get the props out of view. I don't know. We'll see once I do the build. But yeah, and this is on, Brock says, very nice, and you're getting 4-inch arms too, right? These are the 4-inch arms. I don't have the 5-inch prototype version of it anymore. I gave it to Patrick. But yeah, these are the 4-inch arms. And these are also the motors that Tommy made for me, the 3500 kV motors, which apparently have sold out, which is awesome. I'm so happy that they sold out. I told him that they would, but when he got the motors in, he was like, I got 80 of these things. You better not have screwed me on this KV. I was like, nah, believe me, people will buy them. So if it was you guys that bought them, thank you. That's awesome. I'm sure he'll have more made now. DQ says, can you convince Tommy to produce more of the 3500 kV? Yeah, it's funny, we were just talking about that. I'm sure that he will, but the fact that they sold out, I'm sure that triggered him to order more. Well, let me make sure. I can't say that I'm sure. But they sold out pretty goddamn quick, so I'll bet you that he's already got another order in for him. Come on, Facebook, come on. Facebook, come on. My chat is asking how long they'll have to wait for more 3500 kV arrow lights. Told ya they'd sell. Happy face. Yeah. 4-inch arms run camera. Very cool, DQ. Do me a favor, DQ. Shoot me a message somewhere and tell me that you're in for the RunCam hybrid plates, just so I can keep track of you guys. Gel Captain is also interested in the 254-inch. ElRS says, any ideas for a tune on a Signet 3-inch? Struggling to make it nice myself. So Antler tuning is 100% specific to the exact rig itself, and it's also specific to your flying style. So when I do one-on-one tuning services with people over on Fiverr, I spend 10 or 15 minutes asking them what their flight style is like, where they crash, how hard they crash, how often they crash, a whole bunch of other things. But the number one thing, the number one starting point, if you're going to change the tune that's on a rig, is what don't you like about the current tune that's on the rig, right? Like, there's not... It's like if you go buy a car and you say to somebody like, hey, I want to make my car better, what should I do? Like, you kind of... It's too vague, right? You have to... You have to say to them, hey, my car doesn't have enough horsepower. How am I going to fix that, right? You can't just say, like, I want to fix my car. Like, that has no info related to it. So the biggest starting point for if you want to change the tune on your rig is, yeah, what about the current tune do you not like? Like, what are you trying to improve? Because the stock tunes are usually pretty damn good. And as a pilot, you can usually fly around 99% of the stock tunes. And we talk a lot on this channel about how, believe it or not, if you're trying to get better as a pilot, the worse the tune that's on your rig, the better. The only real reason to change the tune on your rig is if it's giving you like hot motors and blowing up ESCs, right? Or if you have an opportunity to shoot, or a job to shoot cinematic stuff where you need the footage to be absolutely perfect. So if you're in that scenario, if you have a cinematic gig coming up that you're using that rig on, yeah, we can definitely dive into tuning for sure. But the biggest thing is going to be just to figure out what about the current tune is bad that you're looking to improve on. ElRS says, it's mad, jittery, and twitchy. Stock is kind of overwashy. I'm not sure what overwashy means, but jittery and twitchy is not a great thing. Typically, jittery and twitchy has nothing to do with the tune, though. Well, it kind of does. So when they ship a rig, I think that's a bind and fly rig. When they ship a rig out, it's on fresh motors, fresh frame, fresh everything. And the tune that comes with it typically flies good for that mechanical system, right? Fresh motors, fresh props, fresh frame. And then we get them, and we start bashing them into shit. And that fucks up the props, it unbalances the motors, it weakens the frame. So at that point, all you can do, if it then becomes jittery and twitchy, right? You have two choices. You can drop the PID tune down and make the rig fly worse, right? Because that's what happens when you decrease the PID tune values, the rig flies worse, straight up. But you're doing that because the gear is now banged up. The motors are banged up, the props are banged up, the frame is banged up. In my opinion, the proper way to fix that situation is to fix the motors or the props or the frame and leave the tune alone. All that being said, every once in a while these bind and flies will come out of the box, the tune will suck. So that, I mean, that's kind of on you. You need to think back to how that thing flew the very first time you flew it. And if it's been like this ever since the very first time you flew it, then sure, screwing around with the PID tune could potentially make it better. But if not, then screwing around with the PID tune right now is going to cripple the performance of the rig. See what I'm saying? So in my opinion, it's a better bet to fix the mechanical system and have a good mechanical system that flies properly rather than suffer with a shitty, busted up mechanical system and to have to cripple the tune and you have a rig that always flies like shit. Because once you've crippled the tune, even if you then go and fix the props or the motors or the frame, it's still going to fly like ass. So I prefer to leave the good tune and then keep the mechanical system in good working order. That's just sort of my philosophy on tuning and keeping a rig flying well. I am curious as to what you mean by overwashy, though. I can't quite wrap my head around what that means. And I'm also curious as to what the tune kind of looks like. I mean, a lot of times they'll ship these bind and flies with stock Betaflight. Stock Betaflight's pretty good. It shouldn't be jittery. It shouldn't be twitchy. But it doesn't handle prop wash all that well. But here's the thing, if your rig is jittery and twitchy and you try to make it handle prop wash better, it's going to go from jittery and twitchy to on fire, typically. Because jittery and twitchy usually means that there's too many vibrations getting into the gyro. And the biggest way to fix prop wash is to add degain and or remove filtering. And if you do either one of those things in a situation where the rig is getting too many vibes into the gyro, it'll blow up. It could blow up. Ow! Ow! Oh, shit sticks. So yeah, there's some tech for you. On yesterday's stream, I went over how to check your motor health. So maybe fast forward halfway through yesterday's stream and look for when I was in Betaflight. That's what we did in Betaflight. I've explained that a number of times on the stream, so you might already know how to do that. That's always a really good first step, because motors take the brunt of the abuse when you crash these things. So that would probably be a really, really good starting place for you. Paulie Lee says thumbs up. Thank you, Paulie Lee. Yeah, click buttons down below if you guys don't mind. It helps the algorithm. Algorithm. Antler says, as in wash, I can't seem to fly around like with other rigs. Yes is a blind fly. Thanks for input. Only noticed it was bad when I flew other things. Wash, I can't seem to fly around. So I think you're talking about prop wash. Chasing FPV says, twitching couldn't be too high rates. Nope, that's not how rates work, Chasing. All rates are is the reaction is how much the quad itself reacts to how much stick input you put in. So twitchy, jittery and twitchy, that's an uncommanded thing. I mean, I assume. I assume Antler isn't sitting on the stick going like this and then saying, oh, it's jittery and twitchy, right? Because if you were sitting on the sticks going like that, you're the one that's causing the jitteriness and the twitchiness, right? So yeah, I have to assume that that's not the case here. Rates are commanded. Your rate adjustments are always going to be a commanded motion. So like if you move the stick a little bit and the rig has a big reaction, sure, you've got your rates jacked up. But like a jittery or a twitchiness, that's uncommanded. That's outside of rates. That's typically too many vibes getting into the gyro, basically. Let me look up this rig, Signet 3, because I think this is a ducted rig, and ducted rigs can have some really interesting issues when the motors are too small. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. I mean, it also... yeah, no, it's the motors are probably banged up. The motors are probably banged up. This frame should be fine. I mean, it's a little thin in the middle here, so there could be some frame resonance going on, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I could have sworn there was a ducted version of this rig, though. No, maybe not. Yeah, prop wash that you can't fly around is typically going to be caused by a tune that doesn't have enough D-gain or motors that aren't big enough. So the other question is what motors are on the damn thing. And let's see. I think these are GEP RC like 1407s or some shit. Let's see. 1507s. So those motors are, I mean, that's plenty of motor. Are the motors getting hot? If the motors are getting hot, well, if the motors are not getting hot, you can try just adding D-gain. Add like 10 points of D-gain into pitch and roll and see if that helps with the prop wash issues. But if the motors are getting hot, then you've got vibration issues, and you've got to either replace a motor or replace a bent arm, or yeah, replace you've probably tried replacing props already. Yeah. All right, back to work. Back to work. Gel Captain says, if you could only choose between 3 and 4 inch, what would you choose? I mean, 3 inch, like, without shadow of a doubt. 4 inch doesn't really have... 4 inch just doesn't have a use at the moment, because there aren't any HD cameras that are the right weight for a 4 inch rig to carry. So at the moment, 4 inch just really doesn't have a home in terms of... you know, we build these rigs, whether we like it or not, we build these rigs to carry a payload. And that payload is basically the HD camera. And so you look at 5-inch rigs, and they're the perfect size to carry an 80 to 120 gram payload, right? GoPro Hero, GoPro Session. And then we look at 3-inch rigs, and they're the perfect size to carry a like 10 to 20 gram payload. Naked GoPro, Insta360 Go, 1 or 2, RunCam Hybrid. So then that leaves 4-inch in the middle there, right? 4-inch is ideal for carrying like a 30 to 70 gram payload. Well, we don't have that. We don't have any half decent HD cameras that are in that weight range. So if you take a 4-inch rig and you try to carry a lighter weight payload, it's going to have too much propeller and it's going to be too floaty. Whereas for like hard freestyle, this is right for, I'm talking like to mimic the 5-inch freestyle flight experience. And then if you take, yeah, you guys see where I'm going with this. So yeah, at the moment, 4-inch doesn't really have a super good home in my experience. It's fun and it's different and it flies exactly like something in between a 3 and a 5-inch. And for like long range stuff, it's great. That's really the idea behind 4-inch, in my opinion, is for micro long range, like 200-ish gram all up long range. 4-inch is perfect for that. But for freestyle, it just ends up being too floaty. For hard freestyle, that is, and you just end up with this like kind of, you have to like relearn muscle memory in the same way that toothpicks are too floaty of a 3-inch rig to really do hard freestyle based off throttle throws and stuff like that. Also, when you fly a toothpick rig, it doesn't fly anywhere near the way that a 5-inch rig does, right? It's a complete different thing. You have to completely change the way that you fly. And I try not to do that, because when you do that all the time, it really hinders your ability to... One of the best things that you can do to get better is to have your gear be identical and to fly the exact same thing every single time. And so then when you have a rig that flies totally different, you're doing the complete opposite of that. And I put a lot of emphasis on trying to be better as a pilot. And that's not the right answer, right? For everybody. If the right answer for you is just going out and having fun, then fuck yeah, build one of every size, because it is fun as hell to fly something totally different over and over and over again. But if the goal is to get better as a pilot, in my experience, that's not a good plan. So yeah, there's my thoughts on that. There's a penny for my thoughts on that. Somebody send me a penny so that dad joke will ring true. So we're quickly soldering up a new 1504.5 here. Let's get this guy soldered up to this tiny little flywoo race wire. And then we will check the health of the other 3 motors compared to a fresh one. This fresh motor came out of my box of motors. I have a box of micro motors. Every single order that I place, I buy one of a random micro motor that I don't currently have. And you guys supporting me through Patreon and all the other different things on CiottiFPV.com is how I do that. So if you want me to continue to have more and more feedback on micromotors, do the things that support me. Because the more money I have, the more shit that I can buy that I have no interest in, but that you guys could potentially have interest in. And yeah, I'm willing to do all the testing, but testing is expensive, right? I don't get sent anything for free. So the more testing you guys want, the more money you gotta give me. How about that for a fucking turbo shill? So yeah, I mean, that's just a part of this whole fucking little ecosystem that I got going on. Is yeah, the bigger we can make this thing, the more stuff that I can break realistically and test out. And yeah, it's the Joshua Bardwell model, right? Like, if you guys are my primary source of income, then I don't have a single reason to lie or be remotely influenced in any of the testing that I do, right? Because you guys are paying my paycheck, so giving you guys the most fair and accurate info is all that matters to me. And it's, you know, not only all that matters, but it's financially driven, which is, you know, which is a good way to be motivated. So yeah, do the things, click the buttons, whatever. Remember to hit the affiliate links, I guess. All right, so there we go. Let's see how this thing sounds when we fire up the motors with no props on. I'm very curious as to how it held up, because I threw some pretty decent abuse at it in Micro Mayhem. So let's see what sort of an effect that had. I'm gonna grab a 4S XT30 battery. Here's one. Although it appears that I ran this one, so that's not gonna really do me any good. Unless I didn't discharge it all the way down. Come on! Alright, hold on. Hold on, please! Ah, fuck it. That's fine. Let me just grab another one that is obvious that I haven't flown. Oh, here's one. This is the battery that I put onto the Acrobrat and crashed it after 14 seconds. So this will definitely have some juice left in it. So yeah, here's how you check your motor health. You hook your rig up to Betaflight. You hook a battery up to your rig. You take the prop nuts and the prop screws and all that stuff off. You launch Betaflight and you connect. You go into the motors tab. You click the I understand the risks button. You take your left hand, you put it on the quad so you can feel for the vibrations, and you also listen for the noises that you're going to hear. And then you just rock each one of these motors up individually and just listen and feel. You're trying to feel if one motor is worse than the others. That one feels beautiful. That one's got a little bit of vibes happening. So that was the brand new fresh motor that we just put on. And that one's got some vibes for sure. So I'm gonna shut up and just let you guys listen to it. And I'm gonna give you the fresh motor first, and then I'm gonna give you the worst motors. You can probably hear it. Ready? Fresh motor first, and then bad. I think you guys can probably hear that. Here's the best motor and then the worst motor. Best motor. Worst. And you can really feel it. You can, when you're touching the quad, you can very easily feel it. And what you'll notice is most of the vibes happen about half the way. It's actually right in between, like it's in like the 1300s and the 1400s. Gel Captain with 200 Great British penny pounds. Thank you, brother. Wait, no, I guess they're pence, not pounds. Penny pence. Thank you, Gel. Much appreciated, my man. Thanks for supporting the madness. Let me get caught up on chat a little bit here. Gel says, getting back to the 3-inch versus 4-inch. What if it comes to just flying? I would carry just the Runcam 5 Orange. I mean, if you're carrying the Runcam 5 Orange, I mean, that's one of the very few cameras that is in that bracket between like 30 and 70 grams. So that would actually be better for 4-inch. But without carrying that camera, I would do 3-inch for sure. Ricardo says, what goggle antennas do you recommend? Thanks. So I run the Rapid Fire, and I have a Menace RC patch antenna on the bottom, just because it's purple. All the patches seem to be pretty good. Your best bet, in my opinion, is True RC. They make amazing gear. Hugo, the guy that runs the company, is a super cool dude. So anything that they make is going to be great. And then I run a long circular polarized True RC Singularity on the top one. And it's nice and long, so it puts the head of the antenna up here above my big filled with liquid skull. So yeah, that's what I use, and that's what I think you should use too. Bob Noxious says, what's up? Hope you're well today. I'm okay, Bob. I'm having this fucking allergy attack, which is driving me insane, but it's my life. Journey Druid says, thoughts on Flywoo Naked Hex? Looks like decent playground ripper, gimmicky, but thrust of 2 extra 1.6 inch props in that tiny package. Yeah, it seems fun. I don't know. I don't see the point of the 6 motor thing. I would rather go to a bigger propeller. The smaller the propeller, the less efficient the propeller. So going from 4 tiny little propellers to 6 tiny little propellers just makes the efficiency even worse. Whereas going from 4 tiny little propellers to 4 medium-sized propellers, like a 2-inch or a 2.5-inch, is going to make the efficiency a lot better. The main problem with those little tiny rigs is like to go from the total footprint of the rig from a 1.6 inch propeller to a 2.5 inch propeller is like this. And most of us, myself included, are not good enough pilots that the footprint changing this small of an amount is going to make us any better of a pilot, right? Like, I can't shoot gaps that are only this big. I have to shoot gaps that are this big. And when the gap is this big and the footprint of the rig has only changed that much, doesn't make any difference, right? It's like a 0.01% increase in chances that you'll make it through that gap. So yeah, straight up, like, I'm just not a good enough pilot for that. If somebody else is, that's awesome. But yeah, I'm nowhere near a good enough pilot to have the footprint being half an inch different or even an inch different make any appreciable difference. It's why you can take a 5-inch rig and fly typically better in really small spaces than we can with micros, because 5-inch rigs are really not that much bigger than a 3-inch rig, but they fly much better because they've had much more benefit with a longer R&D cycle. But we're getting there with micros. We're getting there. Journey Druid says, we don't use pennies in Canada anymore. I could send you a jar of them. Remy Tim says, I enjoy being your boss with this business model where CiottiFPV Enterprises doesn't have an HR department. It means we can harass or take advantage of you on the water cooler without any consequences. It's true. It's true. All right. Back to work. So yeah, there you guys go. There's how to check on your motor health. It's really important to keep your eye on that. Makes a huge difference. This rig is now good to go, even though that motor 4. So the other thing you're gonna find pretty quickly if you check your motor health regularly, which you should be doing, is that the front motors will typically get more banged up than the back. That's because we fly these things forwards and we tend to smash into stuff with the front motors more often than the rears. That is perfectly natural. Do not be freaked out by that. Let me take a quick look at how bad this front motor really is. And it's not all that bad. So here's one of the tests that's really good to do to see how bad a motor bell is bent. Most of the vibration, if not all the vibration that you'll feel doing that test from the motor is from the motor shaft being bent. And what happens is that the motor bell will wobble. And the way that I check that, you see this gap right here between the motor bell and the wire going into it, right at the base of my index finger, right? There's a tiny little gap there. You see that tiny little gap? If you show yourself that gap and then slowly spin the motor bell around, you can see if that gap changes. All right, so the bottom of the motor bell is here, those wires are there. It actually helps to put the propeller on it and spin the motor slowly with your finger, because you need to hold the whole frame really still when you do that. But if you just spin the motor bell around with the prop on, or once you get good at it, you can do it with your fingers, and you just look at that little gap, motor bell to the wires, that little gap is nice and small, and if you can see the motor bell moving up and down as you spin it, usually that's too bent. When you do that motor test, that motor that I was just showing you guys, I could feel in that motor test that it was a little bit more out of balance than the rest. But when I just did that test, the visual test, I can't see that motor bell moving up and down. So for me, for my standards, that's okay. I'm gonna leave that motor alone. If I was gonna use this rig on some kind of a cinematic shoot, no fucking way. This motor would come off for sure, because in the motor test, it is absolutely vibrating harder than the rest of these motors. But for freestyle, where I'm going to bash the shit out of them, until the point where I can see the motor bell wobbling up and down in that little gap between the motor bell and the wires. And the reason I use that gap is because it's the smallest possible gap. You could technically use the gap between the motor bell and the carbon fiber of the arm, but that's a bigger gap. So seeing a little variation in the motor bell wobble is a lot harder than when you've got a little tiny gap, because sometimes even when you've got that tiny little gap, you'll see that the gap disappear as the motor bell wobbles. And now you're like, yes, I can definitely see the wobble, because it's hard to see it. It's a very subtle amount of wobble there. So this thing is good to go. Let me go into the PID tune and just kind of take a look at where it's at, and just sort of think for a second as to if there was any weirdness the last time I was flying it, and it'll also give you guys a chance to take a look at the tune that I have on these things. Looks like I turned dynamic idle off. That's pretty lazy. Let me turn it back on, because I do like the idea of using it. So here's how you set your dynamic idle. You zero it out first. You zero it out here. That's important. And then you come up with config, and you look at what your motor idle throttle value percent is. Mine is 5. In the motors tab, the range is from 1,000 to 2,000. So a motor idle throttle value percent of 5 in the 1,000 to 2,000 range is the equivalent of 1050. All right, 1050. So now we go into the motors tab with the battery plugged in. We understand the risks. We take the slider, the master slider, and we move it up to 1050. You can see in the bars, things are moving. See the 1032? I'm just gonna keep arrowing up until I get to 1050. And now I'm gonna look at these RPMs, and I just want like an average. So I'm seeing on the low end, they're going to like 3,000. On the high end, they're going to like 3,200. So now we're good. Our average is 3,100. We take 3,100 and we multiply it by 0.8. I'm sorry, we take 3,100, we kill the last two zeros, so we just have 31, and we get 80% of 31. And I don't know how to do that math because I'm a dunce. So I get my calculator out, and I go 31 times 0.8, and that gives me 24.8, call it 25. That's the value, 25. Let's put that back in there, we'll save it, and there we go. Now we're using dynamic idle. Dynamic idle will allow the motor's lowest RPM amount to go a little bit under what your throttle idle is set at, which is a good thing. Let's come back into PID tuning, and let me just have a little think here. 45, 55, 50. Pretty boring sort of PID values, if I'm honest. Go up a little bit on the eyes. Oh, and I turned off that's right. I went and I turned off D-min on pretty much all my rigs. which I don't really like. I don't really like the way that these fly without D-min. So I'm actually going to kick that back on. I'm going to bring my D-maxes up where they used to be, which is like either at or a little bit higher than the P gains. And I'm going to pull the D-mins up to where they used to be as well, which I think was 30 and 35. So yeah, I am a fan of D-min. I am a fan. 50, 60, 30, 35. 30 and 35 are roughly half. You go to 38 on the pitch. Cool. So we're good there. And let's go to the rate profile. These are my new rate. Oi! Thanks for the reminder, little friend. That the battery was still plugged in and the ESC was heating up. These are my new-ish rates. They're pretty similar. I'm just kind of dialing them in a little bit more max rate, a little bit more expo to kind of keep the center in check. And I'm also now using a little bit of throttle expo, which I got to spend a little bit more time kind of feeling out. Filter settings, I've got the gyro low passes completely off. D-term filter multiplier, not super aggressive at 1.2, but that's fine. And then 2 harmonics, RPM filtering minimum at 200, single dynamic notch Q at 250, that's pretty aggressive. Dynamic notch minimum at 120 because it is a high RPM rig, and then dynamic notch max all the way up at 600 so that the dynamic notch can move up. There's a little trick I got from Spats. He did a tune of that Avio, whatever the hell it is, rig. So just kind of seeing how that is. Haven't really spent much time on this rig. Everything else is pretty much good to go, I think. No real changes. Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm looking forward to flying this today and seeing how it is, because I really didn't get to. I made a bunch of changes, and I didn't really get to try them much at Rampage. It was more of a panic flying situation because it was so tight inside of everything. Let me hook up to BL Heli 32, see what's going on in there. Actually, I don't even know if this has a BL Heli 32 ESC in it. That's the first thing we'll figure out. Connect. Man, my throat is and my voice are starting to go again. Yeah, we're good. SpeedX GS25. All right, cool. So, did I put the motor timing on auto? I did. I put the motor timing on auto, and I moved the ramp-up power down from 50 to 45, which really helped this rig. PDOBM low 24, high 48. Beacon delay 2 minutes. Beacon volume cranked up. And brake on stop all the way on. All right, cool. So this is where I want it to be. No, I'm going to move the ramp-up power down even more. I'm going to move the ramp-up power down to 40%. I would rather have a lower ramp-up power and more PID gains on this particular rig, I think. On micros, the ramp-up power of 50 tends to be like really aggressive. So moving that ramp-up power down a little bit has really helped kind of smooth things out and make them less nervous, which is a good thing. Cool, so I'm going to leave that there, and I guess I should technically check to make sure that that motor is spinning the right direction, but there's kind of no reason for it not to be, but we'll check it anyway. Motors here, spin them up just a little bit, and yep, it's good. Out, 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 and out. Cool, so this rig is good to go. I will go smash the shit out of it some more. Let's do a little post-mortem on the motor that blew up on this to see if we can see anything interesting. Probably won't be able to, but at the very least, I will salvage the stator and the bearings and hopefully the C-clip as well. So the first thing, well, I can't even tell if the motor bell is wobbling because it locks up so hard from the magnet smashing into the stator, so I can't really check that. But that's actually fine. I mean, if the motor bell is hitting the stator If the magnets are hitting the stator, that means that the motor bell, the motor shaft is bent, which is what I would be checking for. So I don't really need to check for it because I know it from the fact that it's locking up like that. So we're just going to push this O-ring off. Try to not have it shoot to the moon. And come on, little buddy. Be cool. Be cool. Don't be an escape artist. Be nice to me. Be nice to your master. Come on. Get off of there, C-clip. So the safer way to do this is inside of a Ziploc bag. But, you know, fuck that. It makes it really hard to do because, like, the, you know, you're trying to do it inside of a Ziploc bag. I just headbutted the light. That was unpleasant. Man, I have to take a shit. These are the high KV. I think they're 3950. Let me see. Yeah, 3950. Always buy the highest KV. And then if it's too high, motor limit it down. Oh, come on. Oh, you know what? I turned the fan. I flipped the switch on the little fan into the office here, but I didn't realize that it was unplugged. I didn't listen for it to actually make a fan noise or, you know, do fan things like blowing air. So hold on. Let me plug this fan in. Okay. Hey, now it'll be a little bit less outrageously hot in here. What's up, DJ CJX? How are you, man? Okay. So, let me struggle with this a little bit more. Getting these C-clips off is sometimes really, really difficult. Really, really, really difficult. But we shall persevere. Because what the hell else are we going to do? Fix the other rig? I mean, that'll only take 1 second because I just have to flip a switch in the config tab. God damn you. Okay. This one's fighting. It's alright, we'll get it. So Brother Hobby puts a washer below the C-clip, which I really like, until this moment. This is when that's an annoying setup. But that's okay. All the way up into the point where you have to take it apart, it's better to have that washer down there, because it shields the C-clip from the bearing, and that's a good thing. Damn. What you got to try to not do is mangle the C-clip at this point, especially when you start to get frustrated with it refusing to come out of there. But I mean, the motor is blown up anyway, so if you farg it all up at this point, it kind of doesn't matter. Hey, there we go. There we go. I got a little bit of a grip on it there, a little bit more of a grip on it there. Come on. There we go. 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 Now this tool will sit a little bit more flat on there. And I think the C-clip just pushed its way back on all the way. So I'm going to have to do that over again. Come on. Come on. You bastard. Get out of there! God damn it. C-clip. Don't be a jerk. I'm streaming. Be a jerk when I'm just doing this alone. There we go. That popped off a little bit. See if I can really get an angle on it. Nope, it just went right back on. Come on, C-clip. Be cool. Be more cool than this. You've got 0 cool factor right now. Let me just try to wiggle it just a little bit here. Come on. Come on, you know you want to come out of there, little buddy. You know you want to. I know that you want to. Even if you don't want to. I haven't had one fight like this in a while. I don't think I've taken one of these off though. It's the washer that's really giving me trouble. That's below it. It's really getting in the way. Because I keep gripping on the washer with the Droidy Droid. Do you know of C-clip pliers that go down to 2 millimeters? I've never seen any. If you know of some though, definitely post them in the chat because we all need to buy them. Right, because that would be well worth $5, and I would have paid $5 4 years ago for the damn things if I'd been able to find them. Come on, you little jackass. There we go. All right, so we got that off of there, and now is kind of it's still in the danger zone. This C-clip could still shoot to the moon, but now we're good. There we go. All right, cool. So C-clip is off. Now next we've got this tiny little, oh wow, 2 of them. Where the hell did that one go? Why were there 2 of them? That's interesting. I've never seen that before. There's one, and now here's another little washer down there. Oh, and you also got to be really careful with these washers. They will just ping off into the middle of nowhere. There we go. All right, cool. So the top one of these I really mangled pretty good. So let me put them in the flat part of these needle nose and just try to flatten it out a little bit. Just put it towards the back and give it a little clampy. Oh, now it's stuck in there. Now it's stuck in there. There we go. Okay, in theory that's a little flatter now from the anger and abuse I put it through. So yeah, now this is still not spinning, which is good. That means it wasn't a C-clip or a bushing issue, which, I mean, I kind of knew, but... so now let's see what the hell's going on. Oh boy, what's going on with this little guy here? Also keep in mind that this is magnetic and those are made of metal, so just kind of try to keep them away a little bit, because they do just kind of vanish. So I can see where it's bent down here. The magnets are all scuffed up on the bottom, so that means that the shaft's bent in this direction, and kind of all that I can see, to be totally honest. Everything is so small in these little motors, it's really hard to figure out what the hell happened. I can check this top bearing, and this top bearing feels pretty angry. We'll check the bottom bearing in comparison. Bottom bearing is good to go. And now, so now you can really see the wobble. Wait till it slows down. Nope. Fuck you, Logitech. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Hold on. When it slows down, you'll see the wobble. Ready? You didn't even have to wait for it to slow down. So yeah, there you go. That's a pretty bad one. That's pretty bad. That's a big hit to cause that. Nah, not that big of a hit. These are weak. This is a 2 millimeter motor shaft, and that's not enough. That's not enough millimeters. We need 3 mil motor shafts on these guys. DJ's been working on his camp in New Hampshire. Got a few batteries in there. Neighbor wants us to chase him on his quad one of these days. That'll be fun, man. That'll be very fun. Very, very fun. Hell yeah. So yeah, this motor bell is shot, so it will go into the pile of other things that are blown up. This top bearing is also shot, but I am willing to bet that these aren't. Well, yeah. See, these tiny little stators. I don't have anything that's small enough to go through the bottom bearing at an angle and be able to remove the top bearing. So I am going to save this stator, but it's not really worth much because the top bearing is broken and I don't have a way of knocking this top bearing out. So I'll just save it in case I have one of these stators that like I rip the wires out of and it's totally shot to shit. But I really wish I could remove this top bearing, but I just don't have a tool to be able to get it out there. I would need the shaft on these WIHA drivers is bigger than 2 millimeters. I would need something with like a 1.5 or an even 5 millimeter shaft on it. That's what she said. Know what I'm saying? And I don't, and that's okay. That's okay, because I don't usually break those stators, but no reason to throw it away. Save it. Okay, so that's okay. That's one, good to go. Let's flip the switch on the other one, and it'll be good to go. And then I think I'm gonna actually wrap this up. And I'm gonna just nuclear winter my face with I don't know what to do about this, man. I was really happy moving here to Georgia that my allergies from Charleston got a little bit better. But like all of a sudden after Rampage, it's been a fucking nightmare, and I'm not thrilled. It was really nice to not have such a struggle with allergies. So we're plugging this in, and we're just gonna go over here to Beta flight. Oh god, I just launched BL Heli by accident. Get out of here, BL Heli. We're gonna come into Beta flight. We're gonna connect. We're gonna go to configuration, and this switch is not gonna be flipped. Yep, there we go. All right. Wow, I can't believe I forgot that. What a jackass. Save and reboot. That's it. All right. Let me come back in here, and I'm going to turn some of the other things off that I turned off. So 5. Now, you know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to end the stream, and I'm going to go take a shit and try to fix my allergies. I will see you guys tomorrow night. I'm going to leave you with some flying, but I will see you guys tomorrow night. We did our 2 repairs. Tomorrow night, I think, is a giveaway night. So yeah, we'll do some giveaways tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern time. I will see you guys then. I'm also going to go out and fly, so I'll have some fresh footage for you guys tomorrow as well. But here is some more fresh footage that you haven't seen. I'm going to send you out with this. Thank you for hanging out. CiottiFPV.com has a million different ways for you to support me on this crazy FPV journey that I'm on. I appreciate everything that you guys do, but I need you to keep pushing yourselves and me, and yeah, we'll do more testing and shit like that. Greg Womack with the last question of the day. He says, how is the FC able to go to default settings when the cable fell out? I don't know what that means, Greg. And I really have to shit. So ask me tomorrow night. Love you guys. Goodbye.